Jack here at JBF Music and Guitar Lessons, the continual force for good in the sometimes terrible reaction space. Back with another one of these analytical kind of reactionary critique videos for you. Not my words, the words of Matt Hortzman. Thanks, mate. I said I might steal that one from you, and indeed I have. I am a thief of my word, if nothing else. If you enjoy these somewhat pompous, self-congratulatory intros, then smash subscribe, give like a click, and leave me a comment. But yeah, all we've got here for you is one of these kind of reactionary critique videos. I'm going to pause it quite a lot and talk about what's going on, because it's band-maid, they throw so much at you. It's like, how can you even digest it in one go? But yeah, again, this is one that's been requested a lot. This is the kind of double header of Manners Black Hole. If you want to see my reaction analysis to Manners, you can get that with the eye up there. I'm assuming I'll put that one out first. I've just paused the video, kind of started again, because if I do them together, it's going to be such a huge video for me to edit. The thought of that is terrifying. But here we are, Black Hole, finally, staring at the blackness of my screen here. I've been told this is the heaviest one so far, and you guys have not led me astray, so let's find out.
This needs a melodic kind of black hole, you know?
Okay. I read a comment that said speed metal, and I thought, alright mate, yeah, sure. Bloody hell, what can you say? I didn't know she could play like that, on the rhythm. It's about to kick off as well. Yeah, okay. I sometimes feel their songs are like the roller coaster where you're kind of going up to the top a lot, and then the chorus is kind of that enjoyment of coming down. Here, it seems like they're just doing that from the get-go. Okay, right. I was also warned that this is going to fry my brain with needing to pause stuff, so okay.
This needs a melodic kind of black hole, you know?
Right, cool. She's doing this kind of slightly slurred triplet rhythm. It's a bit like She-Wolf, the intro for the Megadeth song. And it's not being kind of duplicated in other things as you would kind of typically get in metal. We've got different rhythms going on, and it's just this like kind of sonic assault here. It's pretty awesome. Because the drums are just doing this straight, almost kind of punk kind of beat. The guitar over here is doing the lead. Let's check out the bass. Bass locking in with drums, do kind of thing going on. Cool. What was that? Okay, right. Before I forget, 10 points if you heard the octaves in the guitar part. I've covered those fairly recently, I think, as you can get with the eye up there. Great writing tool, love octaves. These guys use them all the time. That was a great change down to the guitar. What are we doing? Oh man, okay. This is like a head explosion. There's so much going on. It's almost like old school kind of video game music where they would write stuff just because they could, you know, like the Streets of Rage 2 soundtrack, how it's like the first soundtrack, but just more because they could do it. Oh man, okay, cool. Okay, there's so much to digest here. Oh man, right. It's just going off. It's the thing that really hit me there is I thought, is this in a weird time signature? But it's not. I think it's just in 4/4, but everything is so syncopated, and it's almost like everyone is playing a different song, but by some sort of fluke of nature, all the parts work together. There was a band did that years ago. They had was it the Flaming Lips, I think? They released like 4 or 5 different CDs of like the isolated parts, so you had to have like 4 or 5 hi-fis going on at the same time. I'm showing my age, calling them hi-fis instead of, you know, iPod deck or whatever. And you had to push play at the same time to actually hear the song. It kind of feels like that. This is insane. if you took the words sensory overload and condensed it into musical form, this is what you'd get. This is spectacular, but it's quite man. Like I always say, there's so much going on, but it's like I think they've taken it to 11 here. This is mental. Song's about a black hole. Obviously. Okay, cool. Right, I did just clocked that there because she said something about space distortion, and I thought, oh, that like guitar lick sounds like a kind of a space type thing. Then the visuals in the background have a black hole. So I'm guessing that's what they're trying to represent, where you're kind of what's it called, the singularity, where everything kind of gets sucked into one kind of one entity, everything possible, like almost like a melting pot. They're conveying that idea beautifully, actually, I must say. And I suppose the heaviness of the kind of start of it, with the guitar tone and the slur triplets, they really, to me, lend themselves to like the concept of gravity, this kind of heavy, pulling, relentless force. I just love that rhythm guitar part there. That's brilliant. Really cool kind of exotic scales over on the side here as well. So I've mentioned a few times about maybe doing a deeper dive on a song, and I think this is one that I would have to do it on. It's the changes here are the most frantic I've heard so far. It's almost difficult to latch onto anything. It's really like blink and you'll miss it stuff. I just absorbed in the lyrics there because I was like, oh yeah, it makes sense, it's a black hole. To fill you in on the one thought that's managed to filter its way through my brain. Oh man. This is awesome. This is almost like a kind of Iron Maiden bridge right up my street. I've done loads of Iron Maiden stuff you can get with the eye up there, but let's hop back into this. It's fantastic. Just so much happening. And again, with what I love about her vocals, I mentioned this loads, but bringing in a bit of the distortion just to add that kind of grit to the texture to it. Never underestimate the power of a bassist and a drummer just hitting straight notes like that. That is powerful stuff. Not fancy stuff, just on the toms, single note, dun 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 dun. Fantastic. Cool, so they're using chromaticisms to make it seem more kind of edgy and kind of spacey and a bit floaty. Obviously the drum's holding everything together, so it's not just a kind of sporadic mess, but it's a wee bit like No God. I've done a reaction to that, you can get with the eye up there. But they used a lot of chromaticisms and kind of key changes and stuff to create this sense of kind of, I think for them it was freedom, kind of like a slightly punk vibe I got from it. But this kind of unease, this kind of lack of a tonal centre. Now she just says center, serendipity. Oh man, you guys warned me. I should have listened. I should have listened to the warnings. I didn't. uh, Tiny observation, she keeps spare picks on her guitars there. Oh, that's about all I managed to get from that. I feel like I'm letting you guys down here. Oh man, I'm gonna have to listen to this like a million times to dissect anything. That's why I'd paused. I really like that slide up there, just kind of picking it and sliding. Again, getting these kind of like space, kind of laser gun, sci-fi type noises. The best sci-fi noise I can think of, actually. This is totally left of center, which you probably come to expect. If you have an acorn and you throw it on top of a frozen lake, you can get this really cool laser sound effect. So if you ever find yourself at a frozen lake with an acorn, chuck it on it. It's awesome. Just a ferocious bit of chromatic picking from her there as well. A really intense little guitar solo. And a nice burnout just to wrap up the song there. Aside from the roller coaster metaphor, I feel like I've been on one. That was an experience, wasn't it? I have no idea what I'm going to look at there. Future me will have to worry about that and figure it out. Spoiled for choice, but that was incredibly dense, just like a black hole. Yeah, I don't know how much of the pauses of me being in shock and all will make it to the video. I might have to put a little blooper reel together. But yeah, okay, let's try and break stuff down from that. Okay, so what we're going to do is break down the components here of that insane, crazy chaos that is the intro. So the only part I'm not particularly sure about here is the bass line. I couldn't totally make it out in the recording, so any corrections or suggestions, more than welcome below. But this is probably one of the most kind of straightforward parts. I suppose the drums are as well. It's just when everything goes together, it sounds totally manic. So it sounds to me like the bass is going. So you just got the open E twice, up to the E an octave higher. 3 times down to this D here, that 5th fret, and then down to this B and sliding down out of it. So in isolation at full speed, the bass would be something like. I'm going to bring up the drums so you can hear that by itself. It's a kind of straightforward beat. The kick drum I think is just going on every 8th note, just 1, 2, 3, 4, no, snare on the off beats as you kind of expect, and I think the hi-hat was just going on the 8th notes as well. So here's that. Cool, and now let's just stick the drums with the bass together so you can hear those two things locking in. Okay, so now the rhythm part here, this is one that kicks off the whole song. It starts off, it's basically just one chord, right? But it's this really kind of cool, heavy rhythm. It's these really kind of slurred triplets. So triplets is like 3 notes in the space of 4. So rather than it just being 1, 2, 3, 4, you get this like kind of sort of sound. So she uses that to begin with, but then switches to 16th notes and does 5 of them. So you have this like. The other thing that makes it sound even heavier is I think when she's palm muting, instead of just doing the one note, instead of just doing the E string, sounds like she's playing some of the chord as well, so probably palm muting into the E string, but possibly even the D, and just doing this E power chord, so open, 2, 2. Those 16th notes might just be the open E string by itself, palm muted quite heavily. I couldn't totally tell, but whether you hit the E string by itself or get the A string a bit, it'll be fine. So the way I'm picking this, I checked the video as well to see how kind of she did it, and starting with a down, so 3 downs, then another down, and you're just going to alternate picking. End on a down, and then you kind of want to hop back over ready for a down. And because there's a slight pause in the bar, there is actually time to do this, but it will feel a bit weird because it's a quite heavily syncopated rhythm, especially in contrast to everything else that's going on. So here is slowly. So by itself and slowed down, it doesn't sound too dastardly or tricky. It's when everything comes together, keeping the time is the tricky part. So I'll play that, I'll bring in the other stuff, and you can start to hear the whole thing coming together. So the final piece of the puzzle here is the lead part. So in isolation, it's a bit like this. So just to break down the notes, there we go, an E power chord, so open string 2nd fret. Just hitting that once. And then I think this is the rhythm she's playing. I couldn't totally make it in the recording, so you know, feel free to adjust it to make it more correct if you need to. We're up here, it's 10th fret on the A string, 12 on the G, and we're going to play that 3 times. Just down a semitone, so we're on 9, 11 on the same strings, and you play that 3 times. So you have... Same idea with the octave shape, down at this 5th fret on the 7th and the G. Again 3 times. Up a tone to here, so we're on 7 and 9. So you have... Then a really similar idea, but we're going to go down to the 2nd fret, up on the 4 and the G, up a semitone, so 3 and 5. So you're down to the 2nd fret again, and then 2 on the E. So open E, and that 2nd fret on the A, then the whole thing loops, so a bit slowly. And again. Okay, so like before, I'll play this in isolation up at speed, bring in the rest of the instruments, and hopefully you can start to hear among the chaos how all the parts are working together. Very briefly, just to give this some very quick music theory analysis, we're in E minor. That's just over E. The bass going is E to an E, a little D passing and down to a B, which is E's 5th. So again, very much outlining an E. The octaves are in E minor, as you'd probably expect. Just kind of going down the scale, really, starting on an E. So it's really just kind of going through the scale. But hanging on this kind of B here a bit more than the other notes helps give it a bit more edge as well. You're kind of hinting at a Phrygian tone. Phrygian is just a mode, it's kind of got a Spanishy sound. Bit exotic. I think as a reference, Street Fighter 2, the Vegas theme tune, I'm pretty sure that was Phrygian, but I need to double check that. Yeah, dun, 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 dun. Yeah, because that was something like... That kind of sound, that's Phrygian. If you want to see some more, slightly more coherent bandmaid reactions, check out that, or for just the general playlist, you can click there. And do subscribe, the likes and notifications, I'm sure you guys know the drill, but thanks for watching everyone, and take it easy.